You have a relationship with
Okay,
someone, a
okay.
friendship with someone
Oh, okay. Yeah.
who I think would probably be the best person for you.
Who is that?
And
Who is that? I want to
I'm
know.
gonna tell
Just
you.
say it. Why?
No,
This
I'm
is
not gonna tell
fun.
you.
Welcome to the Empty Opinions Podcast, bitch.
All right, everybody, I'm back, and this isn't gonna be a solo episode. It's gonna be a virtual guest for the first time. Yeah, cause you know what this shit about to be, little bitch. Okay. Yeah, everybody get ready for this freaking episode. It's gonna be really crazy. I cannot really wait. This shit is gonna be so great. Oh my god, I can't wait. I can't, hey, hey, hey. This episode is gonna be so good. All you people cannot understand how well you. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I forgot how to freestyle. You know, I get wild when I don't know what words to say. I cannot think ahead. So I'll just end it right there. Ooh, I cannot think ahead, so I'll just end it right there. You know what I'm saying? I see I have some kind of bars. All right, hello everybody, and welcome to episode 98 of the Empty Opinions podcast with Eladio Polanco. My name is Eladio Polanco, and for this episode is going to be a very special guest. Um, I don't even want to introduce him. I'm just letting you guys know it's going to be a virtual guest. I didn't want to do Zoom because fuck Zoom. Everybody does Zoom, and Zoom isn't the best quality. So I just opted for, FaceTime, which I feel like is going to work way better, especially with a Mac. I have a MacBook Air. I feel like it's way more integrated into the software. So, I mean, that's it. I don't want to talk too much. I just wanted to do a little bit of a preamble, just to warn you guys. This is gonna be, so the audio may be a little bit off from the guest's perspective. From mine, is gonna be pristine, same as the audio, but same as the video. But all right, that's enough talking. Let me just call our guest for this episode. I am FaceTiming him. Hopefully, he picks up.
There we are.
That's right. We have our first virtual guest. I didn't want to do it, but I had to, especially because for this episode, it had to be obviously it had to be virtual. I couldn't, it hasn't been 2 weeks since I haven't been quarantining for 2 weeks, so I can't do a face-to-face episode with somebody. So I'm waiting for the 2 weeks, and I didn't want to do a solo episode. So I was like, you know what? Like very last minute. I know you like the last minute stuff. Why is that? You like to be spontaneous, right?
Always did.
Yeah.
I'm a gypsy at heart.
Mm. Right, because is it? Do you think because of your culture or like where you were born?
Just the way I grew up. You want me to talk about the way
Yeah,
I
of
grew up?
course, of course. Yeah, yeah. Like moving a lot, basically.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I was born in Portugal from Cape Verdean parents, right, from West Africa.
Yeah.
Within the first 7 years of my life, I literally traveled all over the world. Around 2 or 3 years old, my father was a merchant marine, and of course he missed the family, and he asked the owner of the ship, which was an English ship called Jocelyn,
Hmm.
um, if he could have his wife and his son and daughter on the trip from Germany to South Africa. That ended up lasting 4 years. So
Wow.
literally, so we traveled all over Europe. We traveled to South Africa, Indonesia, Hong Kong, Singapore, and in between
Wow.
there, I lived in Rotterdam, Holland for almost a year. I lived in Luxembourg. I lived in Bordeaux, France. So we moved around a lot.
That's a lot.
So
I
I
didn't
took
know it was that much.
Yeah, and that's all before I was 7 years old.
That's
And then when I was
crazy.
7 years old, I moved to Cape Verde until 11, and then we
Mm.
came to the U.S. at 11. So
Wow.
I love just spontaneous stuff. Even when I was in the classroom, I mean, I
Well,
knew what I
yeah.
wanted to do, but the goal was met in different ways. Just keeping it fresh, brother.
Right. Basically, different roads to get to the same destination. Basically, yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was definitely obvious in the class. I didn't know. How do you think that affected you? I'm trying to get deeper on this podcast. You know what I'm saying? I was talking to my sister about this. I was like,
You
you
don't
know
want it to
what?
be about empty opinions.
Well, I want to like ask hard hitting questions. I want to be like Oprah or whatever. I just want to see like if I can
You
get
know what I
deeper.
was thinking, Eladio? I was
Yeah.
thinking that like when you interview me, it turns out to be kind of interesting in a sense
Mm.
for me, because I literally, and ever since you were younger, I sensed that it was like It was like the 15, 16, and now 20, 21 year old Eladio talking to, old man Eladio when he's 50. It's like by the time you get to 50, it's not empty. Those opinions shouldn't
Right.
be empty anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, so go ahead, ask me whatever you want.
But I was gonna say, how do you think? So you say like you feel like you're a gypsy at heart because of how much you moved. How else do you think that affected you, like psychologically? You think? Well, because I mean, you have a major in psychology, so you are able
No,
to.
I
Wait.
don't have a major in psychology.
Oh, I thought you did.
I just act like I do. No, no, I
I
don't.
thought you took some psychology. You did something with psychology in
Mm.
college,
I have
really?
my undergrad is in Latin American history,
Hmm.
with a minor in linguistics, and my grad degree is in Spanish and bilingual education. So
Okay. Well, okay. What
the
you
psychology
well you
part is
studied a lot
common
of
sense.
you. I think you have personally like
Yeah, I
studied a
mean,
lot of it.
when you're when and that's actually the answer to your question, because I was always like a shy kid. I was
Hmm.
always the kid in the corner, Ladio.
Okay.
I was observing everyone,
Right.
and I did that for probably until like my 30s. Like, um, a lot of people will tell you I'm outgoing, but I'm outgoing, when I'm out socially. But the way it made me, like all of this traveling, these cultural experiences. Number one, it made me open my arms to and my heart and my soul to multiculturalism and languages. That's why I'm, kind of, very proficient in languages and everything. But it also taught me to be very observant, and it also taught me to listen. And one of the things I don't think we do, and I think we've talked about this, that people don't freaking listen. You know what I
No.
mean? Like, it taught me that, and and when I say that, it's like young Eladio talking to older Eladio, is because we actually came to this country around the same time. I was 11 years old, right?
Yeah, I was 11 too. Yeah.
You were 11. Um, I went to Roberto Clemente Middle School. I I learned English at Roberto Clemente Middle School and learned Spanish at the same time.
Hmm.
So, um, in order to learn languages, you have to be observant. You have to like sort of read the room, read facial expressions, body language, and everything. So now that I've been teaching languages for so long, I know. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
I now I'm more conscious about it. Like back then, we were just surviving, right? Like
Yeah.
you had the show the other day talking about the guy who bullied you. I mean, I had, for the longest time, Eladio, I really didn't like Puerto Ricans all that much.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
don't know if I've told you this before, because, like, I literally, like, I was bullied by a bunch of Puerto Rican
Yeah.
kids when I was,
Yeah.
in middle school. I remember running. I lived in Alany, right, on 4th and, 4th. That's South Philly where I lived after that. I lived on Albana Street, right off the boulevard. I literally had to run home down Fish Street and turn that corner on the boulevard and run up because, so,
Yeah, I
so,
feel you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean.
but
Yeah,
go ahead.
but basically, well, yeah, you kind of touch on your in your childhood a little bit, but I just meant like just in general. How do you think? Because I mean that's rough for a kid to travel so many different places because you can't get attached to anything. Doesn't that become a problem?
Yeah, yeah. I'm not attached to anything now.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm attached to my wife and my kids because they're my wife, my kids. This is what I told my mom the other day. Like, I was telling my mom, I'm like, listen, with all this stuff going on with like politics and the way this country and the direction that this country is going, like, I'm out of here. Like, as soon as I retire, I'm out of here. Not permanently, but I'm gonna go away for like a year, 2 years, and then come back and have maintained my residency here. But I told my mom this. I said, and I'm 50 years old, right? And I still have not made a decision on where I want to live yet.
Hmm.
Literally, like, I'm a product of my parents' decisions. To run around all of Europe, to run around in Africa, to run around, on a ship. in the Atlantic and go to the Pacific and around the Cape of Good Hope and go to Hong Kong and Indonesia and Singapore. We came to the United States. I didn't make a decision on that. My parents made the decision. So I haven't made a decision yet. The only decisions I made were my wife and my two kids. That's it. Not
Yeah.
even to go to school or anything. At the time, I felt like I had no other choice. Like I had to go to school because that's why my parents came to America, right? So I
Yeah.
haven't made a decision yet, bro. But it
That's
wasn't. But
interesting.
but but your question saying was difficult. It's difficult in the end result of it is kind of weird and yet good at the same time. Like I'm okay being alone. I'm okay being. I'm. What did I have a student, a former student, Anna Del Vecchio, who told me she finally got to know me, and she said, "Dos, you're the most social loner I ever met," and it's true. Like, bro, I don't need anybody to ride with. I'm good by myself.
Hmm.
Like, and that's one of the things that taught me how to be independent. It taught me how to survive on my own. Like, you can drop me in the middle of anywhere, and I can get out. I'm good. You
Yeah,
know?
that's something I've realized about myself too. It's like I can adapt to. I think it's the same thing as you. It's like I feel like I can adapt to different changes very quickly. Like I don't ponder. Like I just kind of figure out a way to live in whatever environment I'm in, and I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
continue to go. That's something
I'm
I've
usually the.
realized.
I can adapt to any situation. My wife says this to me all the time because we've traveled so much. Like, I'm the easiest person to travel with
Mm,
because I don't have any demands. Like, I know that things are going to change, that I'm going to have to like bob and weave. I've taken kids to Spain, and like, pan con jamon. Esos son pan con jamon. That's what they eat,
yeah,
right? And we were in the middle of like nowhere, and we stopped at like this road like restaurant, and it was after lunch because they take like a 3 or 4 hour break after lunch for merienda, and they're like, no, solamente tenemos pan con jamon, ham and cheese but it's great ham, great cheese with the bread, with
yeah,
no mustard, nothing like that. And my kids were like, no, I don't eat pork. So I was like, all right, then just have the cheese. I don't like cheese. I'm like, okay, just have the bread. So that's me. Like, I don't, bro. Like, I, you know how like the Asians sit, like they get down and they sit and they talk to each other. They don't sit on a chair, but they kneel down.
yeah,
I remember being in Indonesia and having like rice with what peppers with my hands like this because that's what they did. So
yeah.
my parents were not. No, my kids don't eat that. No, we just had to eat whatever we had to eat. You know. So I grew up like that. So
So now
I'm
it's
good.
not a yeah. Whenever you kind of have to change is not that difficult. Well, for me, it's funny because, like I said, I do feel like I'm able to adapt to whatever environment I'm in. But with me, it's different. Like I have to create some sort of regimen. Like it's hard for me to like go with the flow. It's something I've realized about myself. Like I can't, if I have a plan that I have to do something, and like a wrench gets thrown, like I get in disarray. Like because now I have to try to make it make sense in my head. I can't just go with the flow. I have to like now plan according to the changes, which is not good. I mean, yeah, it's not good because like even today because sometimes you want to be nice with with somebody, right? So like my mom called me earlier today. She was like, oh, I want you to take me to IKEA. And like it happens often where like I get flustered because like I don't want to be, I want to be nice to my mom and like fulfill her wishes, but also like I have to work. So then like I'm in this weird like position where like now I have to choose, okay, what am I gonna do? How am I like my mind, because I overthink a lot. So now I'm like, okay, will I be able to take her to the? And if I do, how long is it gonna be? Will I be able to work at least a couple of hours? Would this just completely disrupt my work schedule? Like, that's what happens in my head where like something like that happens. So how do you have some advice for me? Because I mean, like you said, you're very gypsy-ish. How would you? What advice would you give me with
Why am I
like
going to
going
give you
with the
advice?
flow?
You never listen to me, so why am I going to give you
But
advice?
I like to hear it. Even if I don't follow, I mean, you know what's well? Okay, well, see, I was gonna go into it, but let's just stick with this. What advice would you give, at least to me, like who has trouble like going with the flow. And that's like with everything. That's not just like with plans. That's like with women. Like that's something that you've told me. Like I feel like sometimes I'm just too rational and up my own, like in my head, and that's bad because then you disrupt whatever's happening. But just in general,
Yeah, yeah. I, I'm, because I was talking to we just went on almost an hour walk
mm.
because we're getting, our regular exercise and everything, and trying to stay healthy during this whole thing that's happening. But and we were talking, and I told her, I told her I was doing the interview with you at 7 o'clock, and we had to be back by 7. Um, and 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 through that conversation, I was kind of like talking about this being therapy for me because
Mm.
um, we all, I think the biggest problem, Elijah, is that we all try to like put ourselves, and America kind of tries to do that for us. Put ourselves in a role, in a hole. Like this is who I am.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about this is, like I've, and we've talked about this before. I've had a lot of loss. The last, the last 10 years of my life, from 40 to 50, was one of the weirdest times of my life. Um, and like I lost my dad, I lost my brother, I lost another person through suicide too, because I told you that before, that my brother committed suicide, but I lost somebody else through suicide before my father died and before my brother.
I think I remember. I think you talked to us about it in class. You're a
Yeah,
former student,
no, no, no. Well, that was a Dominican kid, but that
right?
that that was, yeah, that was tough too. That's another person I forgot. Also died through suicide. But these people were like part of my personal life, right? Um, and among other things too. I just realized that, um, like I've had a gluten problem for a long time, and I
You
had
said
like,
gluten.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
I stopped eating all gluten. I'm eating gluten free, and I feel like a new man, brother.
Yeah, I mean that's funny.
Yeah, man. I've lost like almost 15 pounds. Um, but through all of this stuff, and then COVID hits, so it's given me time to really think and reevaluate myself. And I fasted for like 30 days, and I feel like a new man, bro. Like I stopped eating certain things. I stopped drinking alcohol. I stopped drinking sugary drinks. I've literally like, I'm living the right way, and it's cleared my mind. And by clearing my mind, start to like evaluate yourself, right? And I've always been a confident person outside of being a teenager, of course, because that's natural, right?
Yeah.
Because your self esteem takes a hit, through puberty and after puberty. But everything that's happened in my life has been really, really good. So sometimes I don't know how to deal with the bad things that happen, because things usually work out for me
Yeah.
because of hard work and the way I tackle things, right? But um, I think sometimes, and this is my advice to you, through all that stuff that I was just talking, kind of looking at it through my lens and looking at myself in the mirror, is that we try to define ourselves, and others try to define us, and most people get it wrong. But the truth is most people get themselves wrong too.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I think what you have to do is, bro, that's the way you are. So why change it?
Yeah.
So a lot of times I've been trying to tell you, you need to do it like this, you need to do it like that, but you never listen to me.
I
Why?
know.
Because you're a
I know.
stubborn ass Dominican, bro.
No.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so, you know what? If it means that it might take you a long time to get a girl, then that's what it means.
Not
But
right. I
then,
don't want to hear that, Dose. I
yeah,
mean,
but when you when
Kaluka, but
you
I don't want to hear that.
but when you get that girl, that she'll be the one for you, because it will be done under your parameters and your standards and who you are as a person. So why should you have to change for somebody else?
No, it's true. It's that's something that I've also thought about. I mean, to this point, I'm almost kind of just resigning myself to. I'll just get women when I'm successful. Like at this point, I'm kind of hedging on that. It was like I'll just wait until like I get kind of successful, and then the women kind of come in that scenario. But no, but something that I recently learned, like on my own. Well, I had you in mind because you gave me this advice, but for some reason I thought of you when this happened. But like I remember, so it happens a lot where like random women on Instagram start liking my pictures or like try to get my attention certain ways, right? And then I'm very direct, like I said, even to a detriment. So like I always says just go to directly messaging. Like I don't do the like I guess the games you could call it, but like it's happened now multiple times where I'm texting with certain women and like because they try to get my attention, so I'm like, okay, let me follow up with this, let me follow through with this, and I always ask like, are you single? And they always say, no. And for the longest, it always confused me. I was like, why the fuck are they like? Why are they trying to get my attention? But now what I've realized is that it's something that you always try to tell me, which is just kind of basically just go with the flow. You know what I mean? It's like, but it I overthink too much. So in my head, I'm like, oh no, I gotta ask if they're single because I don't want to, I don't want them to cheat on whoever they're with, or I don't want them to do something they shouldn't do. So let me ask. But I've realized like, yeah, I can't do that because like it's almost now I gotta go because like I said, I guess I kind of just gotta turn off that part of my brain of like, oh, this is wrong, because that's what happens with me. Like when it comes to that, where I'm like, that's wrong. Like in the back of my head, I'm like, this is wrong, right? Like if they're in a relationship and this is happening, isn't that wrong in my
The
part?
advice, the advice that I've always given you was not to think so much.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the advice. Um, because
yeah,
if you think about it, everyone in this world is attached to someone else.
hmm.
So you're always attached to someone else. It could be friendship, it could be a love affair, it could be parents, it could be anybody, but you're always attached to someone, right?
Right.
So when you ask questions like that, you take away the focus from you and you put it on a third person,
Yeah,
and that messes up anything, because literally, like, these girls are trying to see if you're a good future candidate. That's all they're seeing.
yeah,
So you kind of kill it before they can even see it, because you refocus them into whoever is not part of the conversation. Like if I mean, life is complicated, right? So their relationships could be ending, and they're feeling things out to see where they go from there.
hmm.
And maybe, the way out of their relationship is to find someone else that gives them hope and gives them friendship and the possibilities of a future relationship. So if you take the focus away from you and you put it back on the person they're trying to run away from, you're killing
Yeah, it's
yourself.
bad.
You're
Yeah, I
defeating
know.
the
Yeah,
purpose. So
yeah.
that's been my advice to you,
Yeah,
is
but
just
but the thing about it is that that's what I wanted to say. Like I did actually realize it because the last time it happened, like I sent the question like, "Are you single?" And as I sent it, I was like, "Why the fuck did you send that question?" Like in my head, like to my own self, like, "What are you doing?" And now it's like where I feel like I don't think I'm gonna do that anymore. I am trying to the one thing that my sister told me, since like I'm always thinking too much, I guess the best way to do it is to like create almost like a subcategory, because I'm very, like I said, let me tell you, because this is how I gotta deal with this, because I can't just stop thinking. So what my sister gave me an advice for, which I think is very smart, it's just like my problem is I divide everything into like friends or like a relationship. Like it's very rigid, right? And that's bad. That's horrible.
and most things are black and white. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
you have a relationship with someone that I'm not going to mention, that that is,
What? Okay, go ahead.
you have a relationship with
Okay,
someone, a
okay.
friendship with someone
Oh, okay. Yeah.
who I think would probably be the best person for you.
Who is that?
And
Who is that? I want to know.
I won't tell
Just
you.
say it. Why? This
No, I'm
is
not gonna tell
fun.
you.
This is what I live for. This is the kind of.
But you do. You do. You have a very like um. No, actually, you have a bunch of relationships like that.
Hmm. I would like to know the names because I want to put them out as a clip, and it'll be fun.
No, 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 no. I'm not gonna put nobody out there like that. But no, but they're great friendships, and
Yeah,
you
yeah,
have
yeah,
realized, like, and I don't know if I've told you this before, but I I I, I was friends with my wife for 3 years in
yeah,
college.
yeah. You told me this. Yeah,
Yes, and it was probably the best thing ever happened because by the time we got into a relationship, we didn't know everything about each other, but at least we knew each other pretty well.
yeah.
And it wasn't that we were great friends, but whenever we were around each other, you could tell that there was something there between us
Hmm.
that could be long lasting. Because listen, at the end of the day, bro, at the end of the day, all that stuff that people worry about, like the sexual parts and all of that stuff, right? It's
Yeah,
irrelevant. At the end of
right.
the day, you got to have a conversation with the other person.
That's true. Yeah,
So that's where the friendship is, right? Like
yeah.
we just went for like almost an hour walk and we talked the whole time. And we didn't plan none of it out. We just talked. And we've been together for what? Since 1991 so it's going to be 30 years this year. We've been together as boyfriend and girlfriend and then married.
Wow.
And it's still fresh. Why? Because we're friends.
Yeah.
So when someone's trying to be your friend, why are you going to kill it? Because that's where everything starts and that's where everything ends.
Wow. That's deep. That's where everything's like a friendship's art. Yeah, I mean that's definitely true. Um, yeah, that's true. Well, I'm
I,
just thinking.
I like throwing you these very logical and common sense curveballs because your head doesn't work that way. Because you fucking
Yeah,
like
yeah,
complicate
yeah,
everything.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And
It's like a new concept to me. It's like, whoa,
but
everything
it's not a
starts as a
new
friendship.
concept, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Christ's sake, it's not new at all.
I
But to
know,
you,
but
because your brain doesn't work that way, it's like, yeah, I never thought about it that way.
yeah, yeah. No, that's you saw me. I was like literally like thinking. No,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Can we stop talking about you? Because every time I come on this show, all we do is talk about you.
Well, because I know. I mean,
There's
I
so many
know.
things going on in this world,
I know. I
and you
know.
seem to be in the center of it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it always
It's
comes
like,
back
can
to
we
me
talk about
somehow.
COVID? I got COVID.
Yeah.
Can we talk about police
Yeah.
brutality?
Yeah.
Mr. Dose, I got beat up by a cop
Yeah,
yesterday.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
everything
Just
has to do. No, I'm just kidding.
no, I know what you. I mean, it is true, and I'm trying. I mean, that's. I mean, yeah, yeah, yeah. The very narcissistic answer to that would be, well, the show is named after me, but whatever. I'll just say, but I'm not gonna say that. That's what I would say if I was that narcissistic. What I am gonna say is just let me
Which you
just
are.
one last
Which you are
question. Just one
narcissistic.
last question. About me, and then we can move on to whatever else. But what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, because this is interesting. The thing about friendships, how everything, obviously, everything starts from a friendship, whatever. But I do hear a lot that, like, I mean, you hear this concept all the time, the friend zone. Ooh, the friend zone, the dreaded friend zone. You don't want to be in the friend zone, right? It's like, or like women seeing guys as just friends, and then that being bad. But is that like something that I always is? I think what you're saying is true. It's like at the end of the day, you need a friendship with somebody. Do you think? How does that even?
Think about this.
Yeah.
Think about how hypocritical certain women are, right?
Okay.
Right? They
Yeah.
want to put you in a friend zone, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then when things don't work out with the people that they're with, they wish they had a friendship, or they wish that they were as close, that their men were as close to them as the guy who is their friend.
Yeah.
Like they want friendship. They want everything that comes with friendship, but they don't want to call it friendship.
Yeah.
So that's
Interesting.
kind of like an excuse just to put certain guys that they really don't want to be romantically involved with in their place. But when things go wrong, who do they wish they had? They
A
wish they had.
friend. Yeah.
They wish they had a friend as their lover. So
Well, that's the thing, but that's the other thing that's rough. Is like, and usually you kind of just become the side piece. Then I think I experienced that, this year. Like I think it was this year. Yeah, this year. Like just being kind of like a side piece, where like it was so funny because I could tell there's this girl that I liked, right? And she had a boyfriend, whatever, and we kind of had a thing before, but then she got back with her boyfriend, whatever. But then it would be times where like she would show me no affection, and I would know, okay, she's good with her boyfriend. And then there will be times she would show me like a lot of affection, and I was like, oh, she's not talking to her boyfriend, and now the friend or what the friend zone, like she's going to that guy now for that thing that she's missing in her actual relationship. But then it's fucked up because then when it gets better, it's like, okay, I don't need you anymore. I'm back to my boyfriend. You know what I mean? Like women want to have both. That's the other thing. They want to have both things. Like like you said, like they want to have that backup thing. But I mean, you can't really have both, right? Isn't that a little selfish? No, basically, no, no. Saying like having the boyfriend and the friend, and then when the boyfriend thing is like they're going through a rough patch, going to the friend, and then when things are good, going back to the boyfriend. That's fucked up and that's selfish, and women are all selfish. That's what I have to say.
you make me think you make me think through things that I haven't thought about in like 20, 30 years. So
Yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah.
I'm at the point in my life is like if you could be my friend if you want to. If you don't want to, I'm good with it too.
Hmm.
But again, like I got my best friend upstairs. I got my daughter that's like a great friend too. My son that's a great friend too. I got my mom that's been eternally my best friend. So, but even when I was around your age, I outside of being a teenager around 14, 15, 16 years old, 15 around, I say around 15, I still wanted to be accepted. After 16, what I noticed was is that people weren't shit. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like you ain't shit. Like you could have all the money, all the clothes, all the this, all the that, and I'm catching the 47 bus, and you ain't shit to me. So when I started
Hmm.
thinking like that, around 15, 16 years old, things got easier because I have friends who are, I have friends right now who I could say are the best at what they do in the world, right? I could say that
Yeah.
I have friends that have everything they need plus more. Um, People with a lot of money, a lot of material, um, and they ain't shit to me. What they are, what they are, no, I'm serious about that. What they are is
Yeah.
they're human being.
Right.
They're
Right.
human
Right.
beings. So I treat them with, kindness. Uh, my heart always on my sleeve. I'm very passionate about who I am and what I'm about and what I stand for and what I live for. Uh, and I don't know if I mentioned humility, but humility is extremely important.
Hmm.
So I figure if they show me that, right, humility, passion, compassion, humanity, and friendship, then I open my arms to them because I have something. I may not have a lot of money. I have enough to live by. I may not have a lot of money, but I've been fortunate enough to make my way and really create something special with my family and friends, the friends that I do have. It's the same thing with women in your life. If you're looking for a great woman, it's the same thing with friendships. Like I'm not worried, or even at work. Like I'm not worried so much. And you could say, "Oh, now that you're 50," but think back to even your age. Like I said, I was a social loner. Like I was okay by myself. I was okay navigating through the world by myself and being in my own head and writing my poetry, writing essays, doing my schoolwork, playing soccer, and doing all the things that I love. And I became really, really like happy in my own skin very early. So I think once you start exuding that like I'm not trying to kiss nobody's ass. Like I told you, I'm not going to mention any names because it's not the right context to be mentioning names, but I have people who are some of the most powerful people at what they do,
Hmm.
and they call me like, "Yo, Kalu,"
Right.
and the reason why they do is because of the transparency. Like, it's all good. Like, they know they're safe with me,
Yeah, that's
and they
important.
and they know that, that I'm always. They don't have to agree with anything I say, but they know that it's coming from a good place. You know what I mean? And I think, to go back to that thing, with girls and all that stuff. Look, man, if a girl is not mature enough to see that in you and to accept you for who you are, there's
Shouldn't
no
be with
point.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no point.
Yeah, that's true.
No point.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that is true. But it's funny that you did say earlier. It's like stuff, the stuff that I bring up you haven't thought of in like 20 years. It's true. I mean, there's such a big age gap. I just kind of forget about it, and I just kind of talk to you about it. I'm like,
But you know
well,
I can talk about
well, yeah,
anything,
yeah,
so
yeah, of course, of course. Well, just in general, how do you feel about this idea that I had the other day? I was like, why do you think it is that like nobody's really honest? Why is that? I've noticed that's like a thing. This like the more I think about just in general how things work and how even just everything I've seen in life, it's just like honesty isn't really a thing. It's
what's
weird.
that?
I want to know what you think. I don't know why that is, but and I don't know if it's because you know in general people are more comfortable with just the pretend that they are with the truth, and it's only a couple of like weird people that don't mind like being honest or like being blunt about certain or just being honest about whatever. But I have noticed that like honesty is not a thing.
Let me ask you a question. Have I ever with you, have I ever with you told you what you wanted to hear?
No, you just say what you have to say. Yeah,
Okay. Uh, why are you still here?
because I don't know. I guess I appreciate that. When I talk to somebody, I don't want to hear what I want to hear. I want to hear what they have to say. You know what I mean? Like I want to hear what
Okay.
you actually have to say and think.
Okay. You know most people will say that, Eladio, right?
Yeah.
They really don't mean it, right?
Huh. Right. And the way
Right.
you can tell is just by if they actually continue to talk to you, right?
Exactly. So
Yeah.
so they really don't mean it. So and I'm not saying everybody, but one of the what, I've lost a lot of people in my life, and I mean I could call them friends, acquaintances, whatever you want to call it, family, but we'll call them people because if they were really great family or great friends or great co-workers, then you know, because you're always going to get 100 from me.
Right.
So I'm not going to bullshit you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I've lost a lot of people because of that, and I actually have, and I'm going to give my secret away. I actually use it as a weapon now.
Hmm.
Like when I want to get rid of somebody from my life, I tell them something that I know is going to make them feel uncomfortable,
Okay. Right.
and then you could really see if they're worth it or not. If they're worth it, they'll come back to me just like you do, through the show, through social network, through a phone call or a FaceTime, whatever, because you appreciate that and you know I'm gonna keep it 100 with you, right?
Yeah.
No matter what it is, I'm gonna keep it 100. Um, and sometimes keeping it 100 is really, really uncomfortable for the person who's receiving that message because that's not what they want to hear, right?
No.
So I use it as a weapon to sort of funnel people through my life because because I when I really get down and get depressed or go into a rut is when I feel like I'm in a relationship or a situation that does not promote love, respect, um, honesty, transparency, all those things that I just talked about a couple of minutes ago. I get in a rut because I feel like I have to step around like eggshells in order to
Yeah.
talk to someone, or those people are going to be highly emotional, and they're gonna blow off a top. That's when I get like that's when my my what do you call it? That's when like I feel stressed out or I feel
Right.
anxiety and stuff like that. I'd rather hear someone tell me, fuck you, I hate you, you're a spick, you're this, you're that, you're the N word. I'd
Yeah,
rather
yeah,
hear that because at
yeah,
least I know where you stand. The problem with people who change the way they are or who they are in order to satisfy uh, a context, right? It could be with money, and I'm very thankful that I have a job that I don't need to kiss people's ass in order to get like higher in the ranks. I mean, because it's a meritocracy, right? Like I move up
yeah,
if I get degrees. And how do I get degrees? I get degrees on my own merit, right?
yeah.
I get higher if I do great things, right? It's not about like I have to schmooze or I have to kiss because I'm a very bad ass kisser. So I mean, not that I've never been like. There's certain people in my life that I know I have to be nice to because they
Yeah.
respond well to that.
Right.
They respond well to maybe I might not bring something up because they respond well to not talking about that topic.
Sure.
But I don't do it because I want something from them. I do it
Right.
because
You're
I
considerate.
respect them.
Yeah.
I'm considerate, yeah. But most people are not like that. I'm not going to say most people, but a lot of people are not like that. A lot of people are going to tell you what you want to hear in order to get something from you.
Hmm. Yeah.
It could be friendship, it could be all that stuff. It could be a job, it could be money, it could be coming to your house because you give them drinks. They want quieren parandear, you know what I mean? They want to just like be loose around. And then the day that you take that thing away from them, all of a sudden they stop coming around because the relationship was literally a transaction.
Yeah.
So the transaction was I had to sort of be fake to you in order for you to like me, in order for me to get what I want from you.
Right. Yeah.
And
That's.
I don't operate really well in those type of conditions.
Mm-mm.
I have to love you and care about you and respect you in order to in order to give you something that's going to make you feel good. But at the minute that I think you can deal with reality, I'm gonna punch you with it. Then you need to make a decision. Is this what I want? Or like I'm the guy that they come to when things are bad
Hmm.
because they know they're going to get 100.
Yeah. Yeah.
But because I'm not a transactional type of person, right? Because um, I don't think anyone can give me what I can't give myself. So I don't worry about that. Like I
Yeah.
operate in very simple friendship terms, right? It's out of like appreciation and love, and I don't mind telling people I love them. Like I don't mind calling someone one of the loves of my life. Because why? Because I respect them and appreciate them. And and so I don't do well in transactional things. So I'm glad I don't work in the business world, for example,
Yeah.
because I would have to count that like it's like working for Trump, for example, right?
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
couldn't work for Donald Trump
No.
because he's always going to want something from me that I can't give him. But what people do is they always give someone that what they can't give, and what they do is they get in the way of that's how people like for example commit crimes because they go above and beyond their moralistic like standards, right? They step over those lines in order to help someone else, right?
Yeah.
So like for me it's not and I know that I've given you like a long answer, but people are not real.
No, they're not.
They're not real. And I'm not saying everybody. That's why it's like, for example, like I tell my son all the time, and you know what my son is doing, and one day he could be making a lot of money. Right now he's not, but one day he can. I tell him all the time. I was like, "There's nothing better than the person who loves you for who you are when you had nothing,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
For sure.
yeah, at least you know where they come from and they know where you come from, and you know that they loved you for who you are. So that whole thing about like when you become successful, you're gonna get a girl. Come on, man. Then does she love you for you or does she love you for your money?
I'll figure that out when it happens. I
Like you
mean,
don't care. You don't care
no,
at
no, no.
this
I know
point.
what you mean. That is actually a great point. I guess I'm thinking just in a very short term of like, oh, there will be women interested. But I think you're right. It's still gonna be that thing of like, well, now you don't know if they actually want to. Yeah, I mean that's true. But the transactional thing you mentioned, I think that's such an interesting point because, like, when I think about myself, like everything that I do myself, right? Everything with the podcast or the every single thing about the podcast, I do myself in really everything. So I guess that is interesting that there are probably people that I'm sure a lot of people just be fake nice, like they act fake nice to people just so they can get something from them because they don't want to do it themselves or
Or
whatever.
not even in the transaction, but they might just be nice to you just to get through that moment, to get them to the next moment,
Yeah.
because they know they got to go through you. But we all do that.
Yeah.
Like I've done that too. Like there's been some people I'm like, I just I gotta get A and B done to get to C, and I'm trying to get to C. I gotta go through this, so I gotta be a good teammate.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Some.
my
Yeah.
problem is that I want to be a good teammate out of merit, not because I kissed up to you.
Right.
Like I don't feel like you need to be over my house eating and drinking and partying with me in order to be my friend. Like I'm okay. I want to have a friendship of like simplicity. Not that you want me to do something for you, but just because. Like check up on me, say hello, not because you want something, but just because you just want to say hello to see how I'm doing. And I do the
Yeah.
same thing for you. I meet up for a cup of coffee, and I've seen plenty of friendships like that. And a lot of times the transaction may be emotional, psychological. It may be a lot of things. Not, and I'm not saying I'm like hardcore, like I have no heart, but like I'm okay by myself. So for me, like I feel like I have nothing to lose.
Right.
Like I don't have nothing to lose. Like I have two great friends right now. Because our kids played soccer with each other, I can go like for a month or two without talking to them, and I'm fine.
Yeah.
And then when we talk, I feel like I just talked to them yesterday.
Right.
But I'm not their friend because I want something from them or they want something from me. We just share like a common like passion,
Yeah.
and those are the people I want to waste time with.
Right. I mean, that's a dark way to look
Not
at it. Yeah.
spend
Yeah.
time, but waste time with.
Right. Right. Yeah. At the end of the day, that's all we're doing. Just
Because
wasting time.
my time is precious to me. So
Yeah.
when I do waste it, I want to waste it with people that accept me for who I am, and they're not trying to figure how to, you know, manipulate me and use me in any way. And I've been used before,
Hmm. I'm
and I
using
was
you for this podcast right now.
and I was too, you're worth wasting time with.
No. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, for me, you are anyway. But
Yeah.
no, but I've been used, and I've like propped people up, and then because people have their own visions about what they want to do with their lives, and how they want to get to a certain place, and I may not be in agreement with how to get there that way. So I'm not willing to sacrifice my character, and and I don't want to say my reputation because reputations vary depending on context,
Yeah.
with personal stuff. Um, but I don't, like I have like I'm not a person about money, so like I don't value money all that much as long as my bills are paid. It's that whole gypsy thing, right? As
Yeah.
long as my bills are paid, I'm good and I can eat and drink something and sustain myself. I'm good, so I don't feel like I need anybody for that. So for me, if I have a goal and I have partners to get to that goal, um, I don't mind working as a team to get there. I'm not willing to sacrifice. like who I am as a person
Yeah.
to, to get it. So I don't operate in that sense. So I lose a lot of people in my life, and I don't want to say that I lose a lot of friends because we're still cool, but all of a sudden, like we talk every day on the phone, and then we spend like a couple of years without talking because I don't serve their purpose,
Right.
and a lot of them end up coming back to me in some way or another. But by that point, it's too late because I'm not having it. Like I'm not wasting any more time with them. But then they come back and appreciate. My students are like that.
Yeah.
Right? They hate me or dislike me or talk shit about me for 4 years, and I don't care, bro. When you're 23, 24 years old, either if you're alone and you're too proud to approach me, or that you approach me and you want to be in my life, you will see that I was telling you the truth. It may be that you don't want to live the way I'm telling you to live, but that's my truth, and I'm okay with sharing my truth. And if you're willing to kind of be here in order to be guided by that truth and to take it into consideration, because I'm not thinking that like I'm a cult leader or anything. Like I'm not trying to manipulate anybody
Right.
to.
Right.
I've been talking about that. I've watched this show called The Vow about this guy
Yeah. Yeah.
Jim
On
Carrey. Did you
HBO.
see about
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. I haven't
What
seen
the
it, but I know
hell,
about it.
bro?
Yeah.
You need to watch it because you can do a whole show on that.
Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy how those cults even. I mean, there's another one coming to HBO about Heaven's Gate. I mean, that's a classic one right there.
Yeah, that's going back a little while.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the subtitle of the docuseries is gonna be like the cults of all cults. It's like one of the oldest.
yeah.
You know what I
That
mean?
was some real stuff back. You weren't even born when that
No, I
happened.
wasn't, but I know about it because I mean, I pay attention.
Yeah,
No, but yeah, it's just fun. I think with me, yeah, that like truthful conversation hits home because I don't know, like I would rather because I guess it's just it maybe for me stems from anxiety of not knowing what's going on. So I always need truth around me because at least I know what's happening. If I feel like I'm being lied to or like things aren't the way they seem, then like you mentioned, like I think too much. And like the only thing that kind of gets rid of me like overthinking is just what it is. You know what I mean? And that's why I appreciate you so much because you are that. You're very
yeah,
much like
but
here's what's
Elijah,
happening. You
but
know?
I'm also not going to tell you that I'm an angel and I've
No,
never
no,
lied before.
no, of course.
I've lied to get away from certain things. I've told white lies to get out of certain things. So I'm
Yeah.
not going to tell you that because I'm only human. But I try my best to be true to myself, and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you know what?
And
Yeah,
if
well,
you
yeah,
don't fall in line, and if you don't fall in line with that, I don't cut people off. They cut themselves off.
yeah.
But the way I am cuts a lot of people off, bro.
I can see that. I can definitely see that. Um, like in one of my classes, we've been talking about basically what we just talked about now, which is this concept called existentialism. Have you heard about this? This is really interesting because I mean, because it's one of my classes where we like, it's like an intellectual. It's called intellectual heritage. Wait, you did Temple, didn't you? Didn't you go to
Yeah,
Temple?
I took intellectual heritage
Yeah, so it's basically just going through different
one and two.
philosophy. Yeah, exactly. Like different philosophies, texts, just trying to understand a certain thing by looking at a lot of different ways to think about it. But one of the theories or like philosophies we were talking about was this thing of existentialism, which is basically just like how people find meaning in the world and how a lot of things that we hold value like things that we like our morals and like things we hold value through or like the things we believe, a lot of it is really just personal and we just kind of doing it to basically the whole point of existentialism is that you create your own meaning of your life,
Yeah,
and the whole goal is to be as authentic as possible by just living the truest you can live. And I found that philosophy really interesting of like because that's how I feel. I feel like at the end of the day, a lot of what we do and see and believe is just kind of all personal, right? Like it's hard for us to kind of step out of ourselves, I think. Like, don't you think? Like, this world, there's so many. I just believe like there's so many variables in this world. Like how things work. Like even within ourselves, like the things that make us or whatever. Right? I just feel like at the end of the day, you kind of have to focus on yourself and try to be your truest self first. You know what I mean? Like in order to live as good a life as you can, because I don't know. It's just the world is just too complicated. You know what I mean? There's like it's like a billion world. It's like I mean, like every person is its own world in life, and like everybody sees things slightly differently, and they believe slightly different things. So, you know what I mean? So it's like I don't know. That's something that I've been thinking about, like just trying to stay true to yourself by just understanding that a lot of things you believe are just kind of coming from you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, what my advice to
That didn't
you?
really make any sense. I mean, I
No,
didn't
no, it's
half.
perfect sense.
Okay,
Well, I had
good.
the same course, so I
All right.
understand
So
you.
you understand? Okay, so you understand what I'm trying to say? Yeah, yeah,
Um, I I really think that we're here, and I'm not a very religious person, even though I'm Catholic and I was baptized
yeah.
Catholic. But I do believe that you do have a purpose for being in this world, right?
Hmm.
So that purpose has to be your purpose. It can't be your
Yes.
mom and your dad's purpose. It has to be yours. And that's why, like, and because of all this COVID and everything we've been living, and people dying and people going through, losing jobs. And I heard today on like CNN that um, more people are breaking up and getting a divorce because of quarantine. People falling into really, really bad depression,
Yeah.
and suicide rates are up in most states in the United States and all these things. It's gotten to the point that I always knew that at one point or another I was going to have to really really do everything that I want to do, right, which I've been doing all this time, but I've been held to like uh, these pathways that it takes in order to sustain our families, because you got to have a job, you got to pay your taxes, you got to, in my case, I felt like I had to get a degree because I wanted something more blue collar for myself, and I wanted to be in academia and all this other stuff, right? So in that sense, I did all that for myself and for my family. But it's gotten to the point where like I know what my purpose is in life. I know what my purpose has been. I kind of lost my way there because of loss, right? My brother, my father, it throws you off and stuff, and other things that happened in my life. But um, this COVID thing has made my wife kind of, because she's always been lagging behind me because of the gypsy or whatever you want to call me,
Yeah.
the free thinker I am. I've always been ahead of the liberal curve in that sense, even though I'm conservative in life itself. But the way I like to live life, like like I'm not out like doing drugs. I don't even smoke weed or anything like that. But
No.
but I'm not even I don't even drink anymore either. So I'm very like conservative when it comes to family and traditions and culture. But part of me wants to be like I was when my parents were trotting around in the world, as we started talking about at the
Yeah.
beginning of the show. And I want to kind of get back to that. And I feel that that's my purpose to chase like uh, games, soccer games, to chase culture, to chase uh, to go to museums, to take courses in Barcelona and in Paris, and that's the way I want to live my life, right? And I'm lucky enough, and some people will call it luck, but I was patient enough to wait for some a woman in my life that she was 21 years old at the time, that we had so much in common that it has led to her having the same goals I have,
Yeah. Wow.
and a true partnership. You understand?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's because I was true to myself back then, and I was patient enough to wait for that girl instead of just settling for just any girl, right?
Right. Yeah.
And I made the kids that I wanted to make because I was patient enough to wait for the right woman that I felt was the right woman to raise kids with me. I was patient enough to go through academia and get all my degrees so I could be in an intellectual type of atmosphere where I could meet people like you that were as, like thinkers and like sponges for knowledge and for evolution of the brain and of intellect, right?
Yeah.
And I've been patient enough, and I was patient enough, and not to make a lot of money, but just enough money to be happy and to sustain my family and to travel and do all those things to get to the point where at 30 to 33, 34, 35 years, I could actually retire and do the things that I want to do, which is travel and do all that stuff, right? And be true to myself. And I'm not worried about like anybody. I'm not worried about like, am I going to hurt this person's feelings? Is the only people that I worry about are those two people upstairs and that one person in Portugal that I have.
Yeah.
But since I raised those two to be kind of
A
free,
reflection of you, yeah.
a reflection of me and free. Um, I trust that they're going to find their own way, and if they think that their own way is to be around me, and if they feel comfortable enough to be around me and the way I am, I'm good with it. And everybody in the peripheral, right,
Yeah.
doesn't really matter unless they want to matter, and I'm okay if they don't want to matter. Did I do it all on purpose? No. Did I plan it out? No. Was I a stickler and wrote it all down like you want to do for the show or for your life? No. All I was I true to myself. And I think what you need to do, bro, is just be true to yourself. And you'll bring that neurotic fucking girl that you want to be around, that you would operate perfectly with.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But
No,
you
yeah,
get
you're
me,
right.
right?
Yeah, I mean, now that I think about it, I don't think I've ever met any neurotic women.
No,
Like,
but she'll accept you for who you
no,
are
I know, but I'm just
and your
saying, yeah,
neurosis.
yeah. I guess I just don't think I've met. Yeah, I don't think I've met somebody that I guess thinks like me, and I guess I'll know when that happens. Like,
He doesn't have to think like you. She just has to
well, in the
accept
way
you.
that I do, basically. Well, but
Yeah,
what
yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah. Because your mom and your dad are probably totally different people.
Yeah, yeah, they are. Well, that's true. Yeah, that is true also. Um, okay, I wanna stop it here. This was a great episode. I mean, we could have gone on for like 2 more hours. There's so much I want to, that we didn't talk about. That's always the thing when we do an episode. There's always so much we don't talk about, but that's because we can talk about talk about anything for hours. Here, I wanna. Okay, first thing, what should be the title of this episode? Keep it 100 or what's your purpose?
I don't know.
I think I'll go with keep it 100, but I do want to ask that question to my guests because that's probably the heaviest question you can ask anybody.
You want
What's
to
your
ask me
purpose in life?
what's my purpose in life?
Well, you told me, but you told me what you feel like your purpose is. But I just thought like, what if I just start
What's
asking like, oh my
what's your
guests?
purpose? What's your purpose?
It's rough. It's funny when I started thinking like I want to start asking that question to my guests. I'm like, well, I need to know the answer myself, and then I started to think, well, I mean, at what point in your life do you know what your purpose in life is? Like, could you be too young to not could you be too young and not know, or do you feel like
When I was your age, I didn't know.
okay, yeah, but I wonder I do think that is probably something that we kind of should try to figure out because it will probably inform our life for the better, right? Like that way we would have a better idea of where we want to go, even if we don't know what like job we want to do, right? That's the thing that I feel like a lot of young people like they always get stuck. It's like
Why does that's a very American concept. Why does purpose have anything to do with your career? Why,
no.
why,
I was gonna make that point. I was gonna say that purpose and career have nothing to do with each other. But I feel like we should start asking that, instead of being like, what's going to be your career? That's the thing everybody asks. Like, what's your career? What's your job? What do you want your job to be? What's your dream job? And people are like, I mean, I don't know, right? Like a lot of people just don't know. But I feel like that's because they're not asking the real question: is what do you think your purpose is? And I think that will inform what kind of jobs, right? Like we should think that first. Like, what's my purpose? Oh, my purpose will be to help people. Okay, what kind of jobs or what kind of career could I do that would help people? You know what I'm trying to say? Like, I feel like that should come first before, oh, what job do you want to do? I think that's a problem. But because I feel like it would just help people figure out their life easier than, because like you said, like it's a very American thing of like, purpose is replaced with job. Like, what's your job? Like, that's the most important thing that you need to figure out. What's going to be your job? How are you going to make a living? That's the most important. But I think you're right. I think what's your purpose is more important. What is my purpose? Um, I think it does a purpose need to, should a purpose be can a purpose be selfish? Well, in a way of like self-serving, or like, I don't even know how to put it. Like when
Yeah,
I think
then
of
then
purpose,
it would be a self-serving. It would be a self-serving purpose.
okay, so it'll still all be purpose. I guess my purpose, because when I'm thinking of purpose, I'm thinking like towards others. But I guess that's not how what the
No,
purpose
maybe
is.
someone's purpose could be to to make a lot of money and get rich and
Yeah,
and better their financial situation. It has nothing to
yeah,
do with somebody else.
that's true. So I guess my purpose in life is just to talk, talk things out, to learn to. I think my purpose in life is to to learn through talking. I think that's what my purpose in life is. That's why I love talking, and I feel like that's the way that I understand like everything. You know what I mean?
And thus led you to what you're doing, not only in your living room today, but also in your preparation for your career, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Which means that when you put it all together, which you will one day, you will be one of the happiest men in my life. And the reason is because you will be doing exactly what you want, and what you have a passion for, and I think through those avenues is where you're going to meet the person who's going to make you happy. Because I think
yeah.
I don't think you should settle.
No, I don't think I
And
will.
I think right now you're doing something that's very healthy. I think for a young man, is that you want to keep score. Like you want to have all these girls and get all of this. You know what? That's what you want,
Okay,
which is healthy and it's right where
sure.
you are.
Yeah, yeah.
I think in the long run, yeah, in the long run, it's not going to be about keeping score of how many girls you get got.
Right.
It has to be about who's going to be your friend and who's going to be the happiest with you, and that you are going to be the happiest with. And I think that it all embodies itself. I think sometimes we try to force things and people into uh, our uh, our like universe, and I don't think I think it should be organic. And if something is organic, it will be your universe will naturally just you know
Yeah.
look at we live in the most beautiful planet, in the universe. Everything had to click the right way, and I think one of the things that humankind tries to do is we try to make it what we want instead of allowing it to be what it wants to be. Because if somebody was trying to make it what it wanted to be, what that person wanted it to be, it wouldn't be what it is right now. And you wouldn't have,
Right.
we wouldn't have you, we wouldn't have me, we wouldn't have, beautiful mountains and beautiful sky and beautiful oceans. It can't be what you want to be and force it to be. It has to be what it's going to be.
Yeah.
So,
That's true. Great way to end the episode. Oh, and one last thing before we end. Because I want to start trying this new thing. Because episode 100 is coming up. But after that, like after episode 100, I want to start trying to do this thing where, like, instead of having a place, like, I want to be more mobile with the podcast. And I think I will be able to. And I think that will lend for better guests for sure. Because not everybody's going to want to come to my apartment. Prime example, you. And I'm not even talking about COVID stuff, whatever. Just in general. Like, people might
bro,
not.
you got to tell them. I didn't want to come to your apartment even before you got COVID, because I'm like, dude, I'm 50 years old. Like, I'm not trying to get sick because I'm on an episode with you.
It's not worth catching COVID.
No,
Yeah, that's
no.
true. I mean, I definitely get it. But I was gonna ask, would you? What if it was in your house and that was negative? Like I
What do
got
you mean?
three, and I got like three negative COVID tests. I did. Like there was no chance I had COVID. Would you still
I
wouldn't?
My
Okay.
wife wouldn't let you.
All right. Well, that's fine. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Totally fair. Well, I guess I mean the vaccine's coming in December 12th.
Ain't
They're
nobody
saying.
coming over. Not even families coming over my house.
Oh,
How
that's
about that,
interesting. Yeah. Well. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's just an individual thing,
bro?
but
We are really like living it. Like see, the only person I see outside of my two women I have in my house, my daughter and my wife, is my mother
yeah.
and my sister. That's
Right.
it.
Yeah. Family.
I'm trying to live the right way, man, because I'm not in a hurry. Like, yeah, I'm 50 and I probably don't have more than 20 or 30 more years, but I'm not in a hurry. Like, I want to have I'm okay with sacrificing a year to have 30 more. So
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I totally get it. Yeah, well, I guess that's like it's something. But I mean, when let's say when things are more normal, I want to start doing this thing where I go to people's like wherever they're at and meet them there and do the podcast there. Do you think that's a good idea?
yeah. Like, I would love to do. Actually, I've been thinking about you. You like I said, you helping me really set up like a really good like the technology part in order for me to start doing podcasts.
Yeah,
With my passions. I tried it before, but I there are things I want to do better. So, um,
that could definitely help. Yeah, you said setting everything up.
my idea was to go from like cafe to cafe, restaurant to restaurant, because that seems to be like a meeting place for people, and but now because of COVID, all the
Yeah,
restaurants are
that would
closing.
be
So
a great idea. Yeah, like and kind of record with obviously with their consent, like those kind of conversations that you may have with
yeah,
random strangers. Yeah,
tomar un traguito,
yeah.
comer algo. I think
That's
I
a
think
great. That's a great idea. Don't say any more because I don't want anybody copying it. But that's a great. That's a great concept. Whenever things get back to normal, hopefully they do. When the vaccines come out and things are a little bit more stable.
and
Yeah,
I think the other thing that you should do is just allow people not to constrain it too much. Just allow people to, if it takes 2 or 3 hours, it takes 2 or 3 hours, and then what you do is cut. You can edit stuff
yeah,
and package it up that way.
yeah. Well, I'm lazy, so like I don't feel like editing too much. That's a problem. No, but I okay. So now I do like wrap ups afterwards. Like I'm gonna do like an outro for this episode. But um, yeah, thank you so much for doing this interview. This is definitely not going to be the last time we talk on this podcast. That's certainly yeah. That it's just gonna keep happening. But thank you for doing it, and I'll talk to you. I'll talk to you later whenever we talk again. All right.
Love you, bro. Love
All
you.
right. Bye.
Yo, be safe.
All right. Oh, yeah, I will. Well, now I'll be safe for the next 3 months at least.
And let me know about the test results.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll let you know.
All right, brother.
Bye. All right, that was episode 98 of the Empty Opinions podcast with Carlos Dos Santos, which was my former Spanish teacher and now friend. We obviously have deep conversations. We kind of get each other in an intellectual level, but that was a fun episode. I mean, it was weird because the audio was fucking getting bad, and that's the thing I was worried about with this fucking. I don't want to do Zoom episodes. I don't want to do virtual episodes because the audio fucking bothers me. It really annoys me. Like the quality of it. Like if it gets shitty, like there was a lot of times, I mean, it would keep getting muffled like every time it would talk. And like if I'd said something, that's maybe if maybe you noticed that, but whenever I would interject, like I kind of did that because afterwards it would clear up a little bit, but then it would get fucking muffled again. And I couldn't stop thinking about it. It bothered me the whole fucking time. That's why I couldn't just let myself let myself go and do the episode. That was really why. But it was still a good conversation. There's a lot of great topics in there. I just don't want to do online shit. Like I tried it. I knew I wasn't going to like it. I didn't like it because, shit like that can go wrong. Too many variables that I'm not in control of, which is something we talked about in the episode. But yeah, that was it. Make sure you follow him on his social media. So I'm going to link all that in the description. But yeah, that's it for this episode. Make sure you follow me at Eladio Talks, ELADIO Talks on Instagram and Twitter. Also, make sure you subscribe to the podcast or to this YouTube channel where you can find the podcast's full video episodes. Empty Opinions. Just look that up on YouTube. There you can also see other content that I do, like reviews or reactions. I don't feel like doing an outro anymore. That was as much of an outro as I want to do. So, thank you guys so much for watching this episode and or listening, whichever way you did it. And I'll catch you guys next week for episode 99. Peace.